The term zero-emission vehicle seems to be the talk of everyone recently. Tap a random stranger, and they'll go on and on about how EVs are the green knights in shining armor, ready to combat global warming and save the Earth. But guess what? Things are much more complicated than they seem, and EVs might actually be the biggest pollutant of all. Here are 6 reasons why EVs are actually not as eco-friendly as we thought. Number 6. CO2 should be the least of our problems. People who support electric cars often say they don't emit any CO2. But let's think about other bad pollutants. The truth is, electric cars aren't as environmentally friendly as some say. To power an electric car, you need batteries made from things like lithium, cobalt, and graphite. These things are dug up from deep inside the earth, and getting them out isn't good for the environment either. Here's an example. When we mine lithium, we make 75 tons of acid waste for every ton of lithium, and we need 500,000 gallons of water for each metric ton. This way of getting lithium also lets out harmful stuff that can mess up water and soil. Think about how this affects the environment in countries where we mine these things. When you look at these mines, they look like places from outer space, with lots of animals and plants disappearing, the air getting dirty, and the water going away. Plus, there are often things in these mines that give off radiation. So, should we only worry about CO2? Or look at other bad pollutants as well? Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video, do well to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to show your support. Number 5. The manufacturing maze. If we overlook the battery materials issue and just think about CO2, things aren't as good as some say. Electric cars need energy to be made, just like regular cars. So those stories about them having a tiny carbon footprint? Well, they're not completely true. First, think about the huge machines used to mine materials for batteries. Do you think they're powered by batteries or some sustainable energy source? Nope, they run on fossil fuels, and they consume a lot of it. Then there's the transportation of materials, like bringing them to the factories. And finally, the production process itself. Making EVs, especially the batteries that are the heart and soul, requires a lot of energy. So it's not as clean as some might say. As more and more people want electric cars, it begins to harm the environment a lot. Even before they're made, electric cars hurt the environment more than normal cars. Some studies say a regular car needs to drive 100,000 miles to make as much pollution as an electric car. Surprising, right? One reason electric cars might not be good for the environment is how their batteries are made. Mining materials like lithium and cobalt used in these batteries is bad for the environment. Making the batteries also needs a lot of energy, mostly from burning fossil fuels. So, even before an electric car is used, it makes a big carbon footprint. Number 4. The hidden pollutants. Pollution isn't just about the stuff coming out of car exhaust pipes. Even if you're driving a car that runs on electricity instead of gas, there's still pollution from other parts of the car, like the tires and brakes. When the tires rub against the road, they make tiny bits of stuff that go into the air. These tiny bits can actually be even worse for our health than the stuff that comes out of the exhaust pipes, maybe even 1,000 times worse. So it's important to think about all the ways cars can make pollution, not just what comes out of the back. Some of these tiny bits, like benzopyrene, are really bad for our lungs and the animals that live in water. Even the brakes on cars make these bits when they get used. About 1/5 of all the pollution from cars comes from these tiny brake bits. That's according to a group of experts who know a lot about air quality. And here's something interesting. Those cars that run on electricity, because they have big heavy batteries underneath, end up being a lot heavier than the ones with gas engines inside. So, because electric cars are heavier, their tires wear out faster and make more of those bad particles. This means electric cars might need more tires made, which could make more of the gas that's bad for the environment. Electric cars have a special way of braking. With one pedal, drivers can both drive and stop. This might help balance out the extra weight of electric cars. But we need more research to know for sure if this new braking system works well. To really understand how well this fancy braking system works, we have to look into it more. We need to see how it works and how good it is at what it does. Then we can figure out all the good and bad things about it. At number 3, the power paradox. Electric cars begin with a bigger carbon footprint, so regular cars have to drive a long way to be just as bad. That's because electric cars need energy every day to charge their batteries, and most of this energy isn't clean. Only 39% of the world's energy is clean, with the rest coming from power plants that let out carbon. This means most of the energy in batteries comes from coal. Because of this, electric cars do let out carbon dioxide, which is around 100 grams for every mile driven. That's about 11 tons for every 100,000 miles driven, compared to 35 tons for a regular car. So even though electric cars let out less, they're not completely clean. As more people want electric cars, we'll need more energy. But we don't know where this energy will come from. It might be clean energy or fossil fuels. This change could take many years. Using more electric cars might stress out our energy systems. We'll need to upgrade our power grids and infrastructure. Also, we'll need better batteries and charging stations for convenient charging. These changes are important for electric cars to work well and not harm the environment. Number 2, battery problem. Now, let's change the topic and talk about batteries, which are a big deal when it comes to electric cars. As we talked about before, batteries are mostly made from special stuff called chemical elements, with lithium being one of the main ones. The problem with these elements is that they cause two kinds of trouble. First, getting them out of the ground can be a bit of a problem. Second, when we're done using them, getting rid of them safely can also be tricky. Let's zoom in on lithium-ion batteries, which are the most popular type used in electric cars. These batteries can be really bad for the environment because they make dangerous stuff when they're made, and when they're thrown away, they can make even more mess, possibly even getting into our water. Now, people talk a lot about recycling these batteries, but the truth is, we're not very good at that job either. Some experts say that only about 5% of these batteries get recycled in the United States, compared to almost all of the lead-acid batteries. We've heard a lot of ideas on how to recycle these batteries better. Some people say we should fix old batteries up again, while others think we should turn them into chargers for cars. Batteries have a lot of valuable stuff inside, like metals and other things we can reuse. But even if we do this, we need a ton of water, and it makes more bad stuff going into the air. Right now, most batteries just get thrown away like normal garbage, which hurts the environment a lot. Number 1, zero pollutants. It's clear that electric cars aren't completely clean. Even if they get better in the future, it won't fix the big problem of global warming. Passenger cars are far from being the world's biggest polluters when it comes to CO2 emissions. If you add up all the ways we move around, like driving cars, riding buses, flying in planes, sailing ships, and taking trains, they make up about 15% of the environmental pollution going into the air. Just passenger cars by themselves make up only 7% of that total. But there are other things causing even more trouble. Making electricity and keeping our homes warm still mostly depends on coal, gas, and oil, and they make up 23% of all the bad stuff. Factories are another big problem, making up the same amount. Farming, cutting down trees, and other stuff we do with land add up to about 22% of the pollution. Somehow, ICE cars have been singled out as the biggest problem, and it seems that governments worldwide aren't paying as much attention to other problematic sectors. Currently, all eyes are on the automotive industry, and customers are expected to bear the brunt of the cost, paying much higher prices for electric vehicles than they would for ICE cars. That's simply not fair. Alright, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We'll see you in our next video.